Westplex 107.1, he wants us to have it all. Isn't that nice, Shelley?
It is nice, actually. I want you to have it all, Brad.
Wow. Listen to you. It is BS in the morning. It is a Monday morning TG. I am so glad it's Monday. Aren't you, Shelley?
I actually am. It's a brand new start of a brand new week, and it's going to be pretty today, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's also going to be a full week, and it's going to not be like next week, which is going to be a partial week, if you know what I'm saying.
I do. And I'm kind of excited because I've got a media day over at my digs for the Little Black Book Women in Business new members that caught the wave back in August, and there was like 80 new members.
You have that today?
I'm not going to get it all today, but I'm going to get a portion of it. So they get like a little mini experience of the Ice Ice Baby.
Oh, my God. So how many people are supposed to show up there? Ice Ice Baby.
20.
Okay, go ahead. Give the Ice Ice experience for people who have never heard that before. Come on, go ahead.
Okay, so the Ice Ice Baby experience is you come in, we stop, collaborate, and listen, and you rock the mic like a vandal. It's the Ice Ice Baby experience. And then we take selfies, and so I have a mirror there so people can fluff their hair, and it's fun. People like it.
So that goes on all day today?
No, it actually only goes on till about 11:30.
Wow. And what time does it start?
9.
So I know what area to stay away from?
Pretty much. I actually had to go upstairs and tell the firefighters, just so you know, there's going to be about 20 women downstairs.
Ooh, well, then all the firefighters will be downstairs, right? They'll say, hey.
No, I just want, no. They actually leave me alone. They really don't come downstairs too much unless they want to work out.
I wonder.
They've got a beautiful workout facility in the basement.
I wonder why they leave you alone.
Excuse me, in the lower level.
I wonder why they leave you alone.
Bright. Well, Jeff, one of the captains, I posted a picture on Facebook when it was Halloween, and I was dressed as a hippie, and I said, can you tell what I'm dressed as? And he goes, a basement troll. So, of course, I had to say, bite me, and then I had to say, from now on, you can address me as Your Highness.
Listen to you. Well, today, weather's going to be pretty decent. We'll have the entire forecast from our own meteorologist, and her name again is, Shelley?
Jennifer Wojcicki.
And it's going to be 51 today, partly cloudy, should have some sun, not a lot, but some sun. And the rest of the week doesn't look too bad. It's going to be warm today, tomorrow, Wednesday. Gets a little colder on Thursday and Friday, but still not bad. Not as bad as we had over the last couple weeks. Matter of fact, the highs are going to be, could even hit 60 on Wednesday, might even hit 65 on Thursday. And then it's going to go down highs 43, like in through Saturday and Sunday. So should be pretty decent. Should be a pretty
beautiful, beautiful week.
Now, what's your event you got going on this week? That's our event. Yes, on Friday, 43 for the high. That's the kickoff of the bell ringing for the St. Charles County Salvation Army. That's out at the Darden Prairie City Hall. That is on Friday, so it should be pretty nice.
And it's
night
always
Friday.
A good turnout.
Yeah. Last year was.
It's a family fun event and family friendly. I mean, they want you to bring your kids out and enjoy the tunes from the Salvation Army Band and the tree lighting, of course, and some of the community is coming out, and they put on a little show.
And this year they've got a special guest. I don't know if you know about this or not.
Do I want to know?
You know, there's this thing in radio called dead air, which we don't like. Yes.
Well, you wouldn't like my reply, so dead air is much better.
Yeah, Ozzy Osbourne's going to be there this year.
Ozzy Osbourne?
Yes.
Why?
I'm just kidding.
Thank you for being. Thank you. Is Santa going to be there?
No. Well, yeah, of course Santa's going to be there, and Santa's always there.
Santa is always there.
He's there.
And then they also have, is it the Salvation Army Corps that comes and does the colors?
Oh, yeah. Have all that good stuff. It'll all be there on Friday as we kick off the bell ringing. And if you have not been out and about lately and heard the bells this year, it's a little bit different. We'll talk about that as we go through the morning. And we play more great music, like the songs coming up right now. Hint, hint, hint. Westplex 107.1. Yes, just don't take the money. Well, maybe in second thought, take the money. Oh, there she goes talking again. You just can't keep her quiet. Just can't keep her quiet, can you?
Oh, Rosemary.
No, she's actually a very nice lady. You know that. You know her.
I do?
Yeah, you know her.
I don't think so. I've never met her.
Never mind. It is BS in the Morning. We've got a website. You can check out our show at BSinthemorning.show. The station website is Westplex 107.1.com. And don't forget, we are brought to you by the Allen's Tree Service family. They are an excellent operation if you need your tree trimmed, cut down. They're sort of out of the tree planting season right now because of the fact that they've used up all their trees. They're growing more trees, and they'll have some available in the spring. Also, they do landscaping, but I don't think too many people are doing landscaping this time of the year. So pretty much what they're doing now is they're trimming up trees and they're taking down trees, and that's critical this time of the year because when the snow and the ice hits like they say it will this winter, you don't want that tree coming through your living room or your bedroom or any part of your house. So get it checked out. They'll be more than happy to come out and give you a free estimate on what it would take to trim up your tree. And a lot of times, keep in mind, they're not the cut kind of guys. They're not going to go, yeah, it needs to come down no matter what. They may be able to say, yeah, we think we can save this tree, a little pruning here, a little dead wooding here. Or they may say, like they did in Shelley's case, yes, it has to come down.
It's out of there.
Yeah, so check them out, and we do appreciate their sponsorship of the studios.
Yes, we do.
Lots of stuff in the news. The hearings go on again this week. Did you? I know I shouldn't even ask this question, but you didn't watch any of the congressional inquiry impeachment hearings last week, did you?
No, really?
Because I think it was on.
I don't watch TV.
But I think it was on Facebook Live.
Was it?
I think it was.
I was too busy. I was too busy growing people's businesses to hear about that nonsense.
Okay. Well, you know, the crazy thing about it is
I mean, they just need to leave the man alone.
If you have your political biases, obviously, if you don't like Trump, you're going like, yeah, impeach the guy. And if you like Trump, you're going like, it's a witch hunt. But, you know, the crazy thing about it is that we're less than a year away from an election. And the way this is going to go, they'll go through the hearings. And keep in mind, I believe... the other day, I think I read this, where Congress only has I think 11 more days in session before the end of the year. It's not very many because I think they're off next week for Thanksgiving, and then I think they come back a week, and then the week after that, they're there like a partial week, and that's it. So if they're going to do something before the end of the year, it's going to have to happen pretty quick. So we'll just have to wait and see what's going on with that.
Isn't it true that if they impeach you, you can still stay in office?
Well, what will happen is the impeachment is essentially the House will vote to impeach the president, and then the trial goes to the Senate. So, and that's what happened with Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton was impeached by the House, but then the Senate did not remove him from office. So essentially he was impeached, but he was not removed from office. And it's a little bit different. It's not like a regular legal trial. It's different in that respect. So, and it's sort of like the legal system. You can be indicted for something, and then you would go to court, and then the court would essentially find you either guilty or not guilty. If you were not guilty, obviously you've been indicted, but you haven't been found guilty. If you're guilty, you would be doing whatever. You would be paying the fine or jail or both, whatever it comes down to. So that's probably the difference to it. But you know what? The whole thing is, it's like, you know, we send these people.
It's a witch hunt.
Well, we send these people to
the
DC.
man's doing the best he can.
Well, I don't know about that.
I do. Miss Politico over here knows that Trump is doing the best job he can.
You think so? You think he's doing everything he can? If I'm, here's where I'm disappointed in him.
That he hasn't, brought up the debt.
No.
Brought down the debt.
No. If he was always making fun of Obama for golfing all the time, and yet what does he do? He golfs all the time. To me, you're only in office for, in this case, 4 years, and if he gets reelected another 4 years, okay? If it were me, 7 days a week. I wouldn't be playing. I wouldn't be relaxing on the weekends. I'd be out and about. I'd be flying here and flying there on Saturday and Sunday and meeting and greeting and shaking hands and talking to people and find out what I could do and, shaking the tree and see what falls, that kind of stuff. That's what I'd be doing 7 days a week because, once again, you're not doing
it. But he is the most prominent figure in the world.
Yeah.
And he has to have a little break.
No, I don't think he does. I think he should just, just keep moving. But don't you see, I still can't get over my cough. I'm sorry. Don't you find it fascinating that you look at the situation we have right now? You look at Trump, you look at the people who are running for the office on the Democratic side, and the front runners, for the most part, except with now the new poll in Iowa says Buttigieg is in the lead. But let's take that poll out of the factor. All the people running are like in their 70s. I mean, at least the ones that are up there.
Not your girl.
Well, no, I mean, I meant the ones that are up there in the ratings. You know, you've got Biden, you've got Warren, you've got Sanders. The exception is Buttigieg, but you know, and the rest of them are sort of all way back in the pack. And then you've got, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you got Bloomberg, who's come out of the woodwork, and I believe he's probably in his early to mid 70s as well, too. So when you hear
that one's kind of funny to me.
So when you hear these people who are like 55 saying, "Oh, I'm going to retire. I just can't do this anymore."
I know, right?
It bothers me, but that's a whole other story.
It bothers me, too, because I see the effects.
Yeah.
Both pros and cons of retirement.
And you see somebody like you know, like a lot of these people in government, I mean, you know, they're in their 60s and 70s, sharp as a tack. You know what I mean? I mean, just got their game going on. I don't care on which side of the political aisle. You know, the people are up there in their 60s and 70s. And look at the Supreme Court. I mean, geez Louise, you got Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who's what, 85, 86, 89, something like that? I mean, you know, still super sharp people. So this myth of like, you know, you got to retire when you're 55, like all the school teachers do. And then they complain.
Like who?
The school teachers. And then they complain.
Well, I'll tell you that air traffic controllers are supposed to retire at a certain age.
I think it's 56, isn't it?
I don't know. I was not in air traffic. I was in airway facilities.
Yeah, it's mandatory retirement. Well, it used to be the pilots were that way too. The pilots were 60. I think they raised it to 62 or 63. Hey.
Oh, did they?
Yep. It is BS in the morning. She is BIMS. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back. 6:26. Westplex 107.1. Let me try to get that out of my mouth again. Westplex 107.1. This is BS in the morning. It is Brad and Shelley. You figure out which one's which. And you know what? You know what always cracks Shelley up? If I do one thing, this will always crack her up. You ready?
Please don't.
Oh, yeah, here it is.
Yes, number 290 orders now. Ready, please? That's number 290.
Oh my God, it's Anchorman. No, that's not. It's Troy McClure.
Did crack me up. I can't talk anymore. See, I guarantee that cracked you up, didn't it?
It did. Because I was there for the recording. It was funny.
There's a whole story behind that.
There is a whole story behind that. It's
our favorite guy.
He never misses a beat. That dude.
It's our favorite guy working the microphone at Freddy's. Yes. I mean, he's like, guess number 290. He's like Mr. DJ. You know,
he is. He wants to spin some records. Wiki.
Years ago, I had one of my program directors used to always say that if you screwed up with him, he used to, I can't remember exactly how he phrased it, but like, let's say you didn't do very well and you were in trouble and you were being considered to be fired, and he would sort of, try to get you back in shape. And he would essentially say, hey, look, if you don't clean up your act, the next microphone you're going to be talking to you're going to be saying, do you want fries with that?
You practiced that for a really long time, didn't you?
Well, I always thought it was funny because it was a funny line, and it is sort of true, because a lot of people get in the radio business and then they get out of the business and they can never get back in again because it's one of those crazy businesses where, you either got it or you don't. And unfortunately, a lot of people who have it blow it up because of the fact they do stupid stuff. But that's a whole other story. 6:38 is going to be a decent day today. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and let's get your girl in here to do the weather.
Jennifer, my friend.
There we go. We'll take a break. We will be right back at 6:38. Westplex 107.1, one of the top songs of YouTube views ever. I think it's number 3 or number 4 now with billions and billions. Remember when they used to change the sign at McDonald's, the 10 million sold and then they put 20 billion?
I do.
And then they said
I remember that.
Billions
especially
and billions.
Over on,
I like the way you snap your fingers.
Where Northwest Plaza was.
You know, if you're out in public with Shelley will walk up to someone and say, "Sir," and she'll snap her fingers at him. "Please do this right away."
I do not do that. Well, maybe sometimes, but not usually.
We go out to eat, and like the waitress will come over, and Shelley will say,
"That's not true. Take that back."
Snap.
I have the utmost respect. I used to be a server.
Walk over to the table quicker.
So stop your BS. You're doing this, and this is what I want.
It's not BS. It's like Shelley, the waitress will walk over to the table, and Shelley will snap her fingers, and she'll say, "The next time you come over to the table, snap it up a little bit. Walk a little bit quicker."
I don't say that.
Yeah, you do.
And I actually tip very well because I got through I was a single parent for about 11 years.
Yeah.
And I was a waitress for my second job. I always had my primary job. And as I grew up, as I worked my way up the pay scale, but I always had a waitressing job, always.
I've always said that anyone who's ever been a waiter, waitress, or anybody who works off of tips is always a good tipper. I mean, because you know what it's like in the trenches, and you always, even if I get bad service, I will usually give 15. I mean, terrible service. The person drops my food in my lap. That's 15%. That's just effort. 20% almost always. Automatically. Hey, I'm a car guy. I just read something over the weekend I thought was really cool. The Mustang has been in production since 64 and a half when they first came out with it. And the Mustang name has always only been used on the two-door sports car. Next year, 2021, Ford is coming out with the Mustang Mach-E. And it's going to be...
Is that supposed to be like a Mach 3?
No, it's going to be a four-door sort of crossover sport utility vehicle. Are you familiar with what a Porsche Cayenne, or whatever, how the Cayenne, you know what I'm talking about?
Well, I would if you could pronounce it properly. Just kidding. No, I don't know what it is. It's a Porsche, obviously.
Listen to you. It's a real... sporty looking four-door car. That's what the Ford Mustang Mach-E is, and it's all electric. It's an all-electric car, and they're actually going to make a GT model of it, so you can get a Mustang Mach-E GT, and they're going to start taking. They think it's going to be incredibly popular. They're going to start taking deposits. You can go to your Ford dealer. You can go to Chris Offenberg today and put down a deposit on one of the new Ford Mach-E's, which is going to be a four-door. And once again, if you look at the rear of it, it's actually sort of cool. I've seen this online. The rear looks like the current Mustang, but with a hatchback, if you can imagine that. The current Mustang has a trunk, but this one has like a hatchback, and then it's a four-door model, and it's all electric. And there's various versions. You can get different battery sizes, as far as the distance you want to cover and stuff like that. It looks pretty cool. And by 2025, Ford, I believe, is supposed to have 7 or 8 different all-electric vehicles. They're totally changing the way they do business to the point where they've eliminated the Taurus. That's gone. The Focus, which I had and which got wrecked on me, is gone. And a couple other ones are all sort of by the wayside. But they're going to mainly be building SUVs, trucks, and some of these electric vehicles. So should be interesting. And
it should be. But you never buy the first year model. You always wait for the second year whenever they introduce a new car.
Really?
Huh?
Seriously?
Yes.
I normally agree with that, but I bought a 1997 Ford truck, F-150, when they first came out. That truck has 382,000 miles on it, and it still runs great.
Well, that must have been a Wednesday car.
A Wednesday car? And it was not.
Yes.
It was not a deer season car either.
There's actually certain days they say the manufacturer that you should look when the manufacturer date is, because that determines on how many problems you're going to have with the car.
Hey, by the way, you're associated with your LBB ladies. Are there any crazy LBB parties going on this week or over the weekend? All girl parties because of deer season?
I don't know.
Their significant
Do you know?
others. No, their significant others. Their husband's gone, so they're throwing like crazy parties. Nothing like that going on.
There's probably something going on. I just don't know what it is right at the moment. but I can find out for you.
You know, all the deer hunting widows.
Yeah.
All their
well,
men.
There's deer hunting widows and YouTube widows. You know what I'm saying?
All their men away.
It's the same.
All their men away at deer camp. You know, diligently out there hunting deer and never ever drinking any alcohol or eating any food or anything like that. Just out there 24/7 in a tree stand looking for deer.
Not taking a shower, being all grungy. I mean,
That's part
rubbing themselves with deer urine. Yuck.
Scratching everywhere. You know, that's
Yeah,
part.
scratching and spitting. That's always nice.
That's part of deer season. You know what I'm saying? Deer camp. You know, you hang out. That's why I never made it as a man, because I've never been a deer hunter. It's still to this day. I mean, when I hit a deer or some kind of an animal on the highway, I always feel bad. I mean, when I hit a deer, I feel bad because it tears my car up. But if I run over a squirrel or something like that, it's always like, oh man, it bothers me. Isn't that weird?
No, it's not weird. I think the same thing.
Yeah. You think, that stupid squirrel, if he wouldn't have zigzagged back and forth, if he just would have run across the street, he would have been okay. But instead he goes...
We have deer in our subdivision. There's a family. There's about 5 of them.
Around here, who doesn't have deer? I mean, they're everywhere. They're even in the city. Sometimes you'll see them down in the city of St. Louis. It's
no way.
Oh, honest to goodness. They have them in the city. No, they're in the city.
I call BS on that.
No. There are people, there's deer in the city. I'm telling you, they're all over the place. They're not just like in the suburbs and things like that. When they get overpopulated, which happens, they get all over the place. They stray all over the place. They're looking for food, and they don't know they're in South City or North City or something like that.
Who do I follow on Facebook? Paul Arca, and he evidently moved out to the country.
Yeah,
and his son or his grandson hit a deer. Totally demolished the car. You can't even tell what make and model it is.
Well, been there, done that. I ended up in the hospital one time by hitting a deer, but that's a whole other story. Hey, we're going to take a break. It's 6:56. Westplex 107.1. It is BS in the Morning. She is BIMS. Our website is BSinthemorning.show. Shelley, guess what happened yesterday?
What happened yesterday?
I went to a chicken place, and they were closed. And it wasn't Chick-fil-A.
Really?
Yeah.
So who was it and where? And why?
Popeyes. On Page. They shut them down.
They did?
Yeah, the health department closed them.
That's some pretty important stuff when the health department comes in and closes your doors.
Well, it was in the paper last week that I think they got shut down Wednesday or Thursday, that they couldn't verify that all their employees had their Hep A shots. Most of the municipalities and the counties, at least in this area, have it mandatory that if you are a food server, you have to have a hepatitis A vaccination. And apparently they couldn't.
Which is more than just one. It's like 3.
Yeah, and apparently they couldn't verify that all the employees had the Hep A vaccines, so they shut them down. So, and that was the same one. Remember me telling the weird story that I went there one time, and I go in, and all the employees are sitting out in the restaurant. There's nobody behind the counter. And I walk in. I'm the only guy in the place except, the only non-employee. And I walk in the door, and the lady says to me, "You got cash?" And I said, "Yeah." She says,
"Okay.
Sorry, we can't wait on you." I said, "What do you mean you can't wait on me?" She says, "We're only taking credit cards." I'm thinking to myself, isn't that backwards? Normally isn't, if they have some trouble with like their credit card processing system, that they'll say, "I'm sorry, cash only." You know what I'm saying? It's like,
yes, I do.
Why can't they take cash? So and she says, "Well, unless you got a credit card, we can't serve you today." And I go, "I do have a credit card." And she goes, "Okay." And they all sort of get up and go behind the counter and work. I'm going like, what the hell was that?
That sounds. Was it the same place?
Oh yeah, it's one on Page. It's not that old of a store. It used to be I believe it was a Dairy Queen that didn't make it, and they changed it into a Popeyes. It's actually a very nice store. There on Page. It's between it's between Ashby and Woodson, if you know where that's at.
I do. I know exactly where that's at.
Yeah, it's about 3/4 of a mile east of Lindbergh, if you know where that area is. And there's a matter of fact, it's right next to a Kentucky Fried Chicken, and there used to be a Little Caesars that went out of business. And I'm telling you, I know why Little Caesars went out of business. I've eaten at that place a couple times, and it's like world's worst service. I mean, Little Caesars, they always have stuff in the oven. You walk in, hey, I want one of those $5 or $6 pizzas. You'd go in there. There's never anything ready. You'd go in there. Hey, because I'm some bread. There's
crazy bread.
Sorry, we don't have any. It'll be 30 minutes. 30 minutes to cook the bread.
Well,
okay.
Did you go in there 5 minutes before they were supposed to close?
No, it was like during the like early evening, like late afternoon, early evening, like 5, 6, 7 o'clock, something like that.
So the beginning of the rush hour.
Well, yeah, but they never had anything in there. I mean, there was never anything in the store. It's like, okay, I don't get it. What's going on?
But not
here?
all Little Caesars are like that. This one over on Mid Rivers Mall Drive.
Oh, I know it does real well.
They're pretty wonderful.
Oh, I know. I've even had that one many times. Matter of fact, many, many, many times I've gotten pizzas for my kids there. So, and normally you're in and out. They got them ready. And if they don't have them ready, it's like maybe 5 minutes because they're always cooking them. You know what I mean? That's the way they should be.
They are.
And you can always go in there. But anyway, I thought it was sort of interesting. Supposedly they're getting all the people vaccinated, and the store will be back open this week, but excuse me, there's still the thing that most of the Popeyes you go to, either there's the super long line around the building or there's nobody in line, which means the super long line means they have the chicken sandwiches. Nobody in line means they don't have the chicken sandwiches.
And they're only taking credit cards.
No. Isn't that weird?
Yes, it is odd, actually.
I thought to myself, why couldn't you take...
It's backwards.
Why couldn't you take cash? Now, I can see maybe if they were like, sometimes you go to restaurants and, like they can't break like a large bill if you go in there with like a 50 or 100 or something like that. And I know more and more stores, retail stores and food stores, people are paying by credit card. So there's the chance that they may not have a lot of change there, that if somebody comes in, like 3 or 4 people come in a row with $20 bills and, they're buying $4 or $5 worth of food, it may burn up their change. But still, why would you not be able to take cash? It's like, okay, did somebody steal the cash drawer? You can stick it in a pan or something like that. You don't have to have the official cash drawer. I just thought it was weird. One of those kind of things.
It is bizarre.
Yeah, sort of strange. Well, we're going to take a break. We will be back. It is 7:11. Westplex 107.1. It is BS in the Morning. She is B, I am S, and we have a website called BSinthemorning.show. 7:19. It is a beautiful Monday morning. Sun's out. It's going to be a nice day. Temperature's going to be up in the 40s. Might even hit 50. Can you imagine that, Shelley?
I can imagine that. In Shelley world, it's in the 80s. Actually, not in the 80s. More like the 70s.
Yeah, whatever. Someplace it's 70. This happened yesterday. Did you see this? And actually national news. I'm reading this off the CNN website that happened yesterday. Alec Ingram, I don't know if you know this story. He was a 14-year-old from Washington, Missouri. Died November 7th. Was battling cancer.
He fought real hard during his cancer battle.
Right. He was diagnosed in 2015, rare form of bone cancer. Passed away on November 7th. Just, today's the 18th, so about 12 days ago.
Yes.
He wanted to have a funeral procession with sports cars. So yesterday, more than 2,100 sports cars and 70 motorcycles showed up. They organized this. They queued up in the parking lot at Six Flags, because that was the parking lot that was in the area that was big enough to handle all the cars. And then they drove down Interstate 44 and went through the city of Washington, Missouri, with the funeral procession, and ended up at the church there, the Emmanuel Lutheran Church in Washington. And they said that there were sports car drivers from all over the country, including California, Indiana, Michigan, Florida, and New York, all to drive in Alec's funeral procession. And
what a good souls.
Yeah. And
a bunch of good souls, really.
The organization that put it on, what's the name of the organization? The organization was a lady who lost her daughter, Sydney Soldiers Always. And it was Sydney Manley who passed away, and her mother She was diagnosed with cancer only 2 months before Alec, and her mother put on an organization, started this thing, sort of like a Make-A-Wish kind of deal. But in Sydney's case, she wanted motorcycles in her funeral, and she had 3,500 motorcycles in her funeral procession.
Oh, my.
Yeah, so 2,100. And they're saying that, depending upon who you listen to, I've seen reports.
Is that a Guinness Book of World Records?
I don't know if that's like a world record or not, but they're saying that and by the way, speaking of world records, remind me to talk about that in a minute. Anyway,
Okay.
they're saying, some people are saying that yesterday there were upwards to 3,000 to 4,000 cars in this procession by the time it got to Washington, because the official, place where you're supposed to line up was at the parking lot at Six Flags, and then they took a drive. It's about probably about 15 minutes. 15 miles or so from Six Flags into Washington, maybe about 20 minutes. And
I hope that was covered by a news
quite a few.
media
Yeah.
or the E-Missourian, and somebody took a video of it.
Well, quite a few.
Good.
Okay.
Good. I'm glad for that.
The Guinness Book of World Records. Remember at the kickoff we had for the politicians at Wentzville for the bell ringers, which was last month, and the family was there from Craftsman Industries that build all the cool looking cars
Lovely
and
family.
the Wienermobile and things like that. They set a record. Was it last week or the week before? They modified a radio flyer wagon. One of those little red wagons you pull around?
I do, the red ones.
Apparently, there was no world record for one. I don't know how in the world they put an engine on it or something like that, and it got to like 35 miles an hour, and they have the record for that. And now there's going to be challenges all over the world who people are going to build up radio flyer wagons and try to beat that. But that was a world record set right here in the St. Louis area on a modified. Although, if you put an engine on it, I mean, aren't you just supposed to you'd pull it around, or what you'd do is you'd put one knee in the back of the wagon and you'd use the other, foot, and you'd Fred Flintstone yourself forward and things like that.
So if you're going that fast, you need to have a helmet.
I would think you'd have to have a
helmet and pads for your elbows, and
because in a wagon that's probably not designed to go more than about 10 miles an hour if you're running real fast. Yeah, I would think you would need some protection on that. But
it's all fun and games till somebody gets an eye out.
Do you know the derivation of the Guinness Book of World Records? Do you know this whole story?
I do not.
Well, it's put out by the beer company, and the reason they put it out was
Guinness.
Yes, Guinness. It was to
Hi, I'm Shelley Barr.
Yes, it was to satisfy bar bets. So because you go to a bar and people, there was a guy that jumped off the top of a building, and all the kind of weird stuff, and so they decided to put out a book that they would send to all the bars that stocked Guinness stout beer, whatever you want to call it. And that way there would be an official book at all of the bars. So when people got into arguments about who was the fastest or the tallest, or who threw a football the furthest, or who jumped off the top of the highest building and survived and stuff like that. And if you remember, for a while, Guinness took some real heat because there were people being killed doing some really crazy stunts. And Guinness started cutting back on the things they put in their book because they didn't want to be responsible for people, saying, well, I want to get in the Guinness World Book of Records, and then end up killing themselves. So that's how it started. It started as a book that was sent to the bars that would, essentially essentially either confirm or deny bar bets. Is that bizarre?
That is kind of interesting because it's been around.
Oh yeah, a long time.
It's been around as long as I've been alive.
Yeah, Guinness World Book of Records, and some of them are really sort of stupid. You know what I mean?
I never actually knew. I never put the beer
and the. Yeah. That's how the whole thing started. Yeah. You drink Guinness, don't you?
No, I drink Stag.
My dad.
It's a fine Pilsner beer.
Yeah, right. My dad loved Guinness. He didn't drink that much beer, but he liked the import. He liked Heineken and he liked Guinness. Heineken was his favorite. You ever had Heineken?
I have had Heineken, but my daddy liked Budweiser.
I'll be honest
Budweiser.
with you, I'm not a beer guy because it all tastes the same to me. I know my friends who work at AB InBev will go, I can't believe you just said that, but it just all tastes the same. You can give me, cheapest beer and the most expensive beer. It's like, beer, I don't have a taste for it.
Somebody's going to be mad at you.
Now, Little Debbie's, I can tell you the difference between all the Little Debbie's. I can tell you, I can bite into a Little Debbie's and go, Christmas of 2015. And people go,
You are the
right.
LDC.
That's right. I'm the expert at that. Hey, we're going to take a break. We're back at 7:26. Westplex 107.1. Don't forget the good times. Good morning to you, 736. Yeah, I know you don't. It is BS in the Morning. She is Brad. I am Shelley. We are together, BSinthemorning.show. That's our website. The station website is Westplex107.1.com. Reading this interesting article over the weekend that was in the Post-Dispatch about the declining number of Catholic families sending their kids to Catholic high schools. And
they just send them to PSR.
Well, what they're doing is to, at least the St. Louis County schools are now running shuttle buses from St. Charles County. Did you know this?
I did not.
Yes, they're running shuttle buses from St. Charles County to the St. Louis County schools. And the picture they show is this young lady, Stella McLean. She lives in St. Peter's, and she goes to school at Coriesu in South St. Louis County. And every day a shuttle bus picks her up, drives her from St. Charles County down to South County. She goes to school there, and then the school takes her home. And for example, I grew up in North County. The school that was near me, the Catholic high school, was Rosary, which is now called Trinity because they closed 2 other Catholic high schools down and made 3 schools into one. That's the one up there in North County on Redmond Road. And it's getting to the point where they're saying that baptism rates and the diminishing number of Catholic people in the St. Louis area is part of the reason. And, St. Louis has always been a huge Catholic town. And to me, it's sort of like, okay, is it really that there are fewer and fewer Catholic people here? I mean, I know, and I hate to even bring this up because I know some people will be upset when I say this, but I know quite a few people who were very, very, very religious in their Catholic faith until the priest scandal came around, and they went, done, nothing to do with the Catholic Church anymore. And I know of at least 3 or 4 people, I can tell you right off the top of my head, I won't embarrass them by mention their names.
Yeah, please don't.
But who have essentially said, never going back, and they haven't. They don't go to Mass. They don't do any of that anymore because they were so...
Well, I don't think it's that so much. Well, it could be. I don't know. Who am I? I'm just a woman that lives in her own little world. But I really think it's more that the educational system in the public schools is getting better and better. And then what the Catholics do is they send their kids to public school religion class.
Yeah, but do you really feel that the public schools are getting better? I mean, a lot of people...
I do. We have some of the best, at least in St. Charles, we've got some of the best schools in the nation.
Yeah, but you get outside of St. Charles County, you've got some nice districts in West St. Louis County, but you've got, the problem in the city of St. Louis. They still have the issue with a lot of the schools there. And
there's no reason for that. They really should do something about that.
You have the problem in North County with the Hazelwood schools, the Ferguson-Florissant School District. There's a lot of issues in a lot of public schools. And there are a lot of people in general saying that the public schools are taking their eye off of the basics of education and instead of focusing on all this other, multi-gender. I don't even want to get into that. But I mean, the idea being that you go to school to learn, or, the old days, reading the 3 R's, reading, writing, arithmetic, which is sort of funny because that's not the 3 R's. But anyway, it's one of those things. And I quite honestly, I don't think the school systems are doing very well at all. I disagree with you. I think that if you look at it on an international scale, the students coming out of our educational system, I mean, I don't even think they make the top 10 in as far as, like, if you look at it internationally, as far as some of these. Well,
that's because they're taking away the fundamental things that we learned in school, like, I don't know, the Pledge of Allegiance and cursive and the way that we multiply and do division and multiplication, that's all changing. It's like they're trying to make their mark on the 21st century when, I mean, seriously?
Okay, but
what kid?
I'll make the argument for the fact that why do you need to learn multiplication and division when you've got a calculator in your hand that will do all sorts of crazy things?
These kids can't even make change, Brad.
Well, I mean, that's one of those things. Why do you need that skill anymore?
Because it's a life skill. It's helped me out. Keyboarding, for example. I read something on Facebook the other day about bringing back both shop class and home ec.
Well, the problem there is that the school districts have pretty much tried to channel all the kids into higher education, into at least community college and ultimately a 4-year degree program. And the problem there is that there's tons of people with degrees who can't get a job, and yet there's tons of professions like plumbers and electricians and carpenters that you can't find them.
The trades are really
auto body guys. I mean, just like we talk. Who's the guy who does the top of the hour ID here every day? Caleb Hunter. Him and his partner run Extreme Electrical. They can't find they find some, but they can't find, they've got more, they could increase their business if they could find more electricians, and they can't because
skilled electricians as well.
Same thing.
Yes, they've got the apprentices.
Right.
But they also need skilled electricians as well.
Well, it's the same thing. There's a lot of other crafts as well too. HVAC guys that do heating and air conditioning. I mean, you're always seeing Jerry Kelly and people like that. Hey, we'll train you. That kind of stuff.
Heating and cooling. They're fabulous.
Right. They can't find people because people don't want. I mean, at least I shouldn't say the young people, but a lot of them don't. And it's interesting. I have friends of mine that are in the construction business, and I'll ask them that. I'll say, okay, how many guys on your job site who are under 30? And most of the time they'll go, none. I go, really? There's nobody under 30 on your job site or on your crew or whatever? No. We had a guy and he quit, and we had an apprentice and he didn't last, and that kind of stuff. Now, and all you have to do is just drive by. I mean, like I remember when they were building a bridge, into Washington, and I documented that on my website when I had WashmoBridge.com, and I would go by and look at the construction workers, and I don't think there were too many of them under 40. I mean, recently we had some work done at one of our tower sites, and I don't think any of the guys there were under 35. Maybe even under 40. And not that they don't hire young people, they just can't find them. So anyway, crazy thing. I thought that was sort of interesting that the Catholic schools are running shuttles. And, once upon a time, remember, it used to be, in my lifetime, it was incredibly tough to get into some of the Catholic schools, like what's the one up there on
you have to be very affluent.
West County, DeSmet.
You had to be. I don't know if it's not necessarily like that now, but you had to be very affluent to have your kids go to private school.
It leaves me out.
I'm sorry?
I said that leaves me out, affluent. 4 of my kids, I talk about this all the time. My 4 kids, I have an attorney, and I have an engineer, and I have 2 high school dropouts. Well, actually, technically 1 high school dropout. My other son graduated by the skin of his teeth.
Yeah, but they've turned out to be fine souls and fine workers.
You sure about that?
Well, I don't know, but I know that they're fine people.
Okay. We'll take a break, 7:44. Westplex 107.1, it is the radio station that plays naughties, and now the naughties, the 2000s, nobody knows what to call them, the zeros, the aughts, whatever, we call them the naughties. And you can check out the website at Westplex107.1.com. It's BS in the Morning. She's Brad. I'm Shelley. Our website is BSinthemorning.show. Lots of stuff going on today. It's a Monday. You've got your recording of all the people from Little Black Book. It's probably going to be one of those interesting days. If you're out and about today, listen for the bell ringers. They're not out everywhere. Officially next week, they'll pretty much all the usual spots, still getting them out there. This is an interesting holiday season because Thanksgiving is late this year by about a week. So that's why you're hearing the Christmas ads that started back, in July, Shelley?
Yeah, pretty much. June, July, and everybody's already got their Black Friday stuff out.
Yeah, well,
it's kind of a shame, really.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I've had some people that, I'm on their mailing list. They've going like, every Friday in November is a Black Friday, one of those kind of deals. Or Black Friday pricing all month long, that kind of thing. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
I wonder if that's going to be socially acceptable in a couple years.
What, Black Friday? You think because of the connotation that it's a color, black, and black people, it discriminates against them? Or, I don't know.
You never know with the way things are going.
Well, that's right. You can't say hardly. If you say that, you can't say this, you can't say that.
You can't say anything, really.
There's an interesting article that, you know who Will I Am is, one of the guys in the Black Eyed Peas?
No, but I love the Black Eyed Peas.
Well, there's an interesting story that he was on an airliner going to Sydney, Australia. He was on a Qantas airline and apparently got into a little bit of a tiff with one of the flight attendants. And he essentially pulled the race card on her, essentially saying that, you're being strict on me because I'm black and you're a racist. And now apparently Qantas Airlines has done some investigation on the case, and they're essentially saying no, their flight attendant was not being racist, and he was
just being a tool.
Well, they're actually encouraging her. The airline is encouraging her to sue Will I Am. And it revolves around the fact that apparently when they were taking off or at some point in the flight, he had his noise-canceling headphones on and he was on his laptop, and they announced on the PA system that everyone should, how they do, turn off all your electronic devices, close your laptops.
Tape cables up in their upright position.
Right, stow everything, stuff like that. And he didn't do it because he didn't hear it because he had his noise-canceling headphones on. And apparently she went up to him and said, sir, and he said something back to her, which wasn't supposedly very nice. Excuse me. And a little tete-a-tete, so to speak, ensued, and he accused her of being a racist because she's white and he was black, and it turned into a nasty situation. And apparently when the plane got to the gate in Australia, there were 5 police officers who essentially took him under protective custody, not necessarily arrested him, but essentially said, "Come with us." And they debriefed him.
Let's chat. Let's have a little chat,
Let's go in this little room here and talk this out. So, who knows? Weird stuff. You hate to hear stuff like that.
It's a different world for sure.
Yeah, well, everybody's got their, and I get it. There are people like, I still say that when I was a young person, when I worked late nights, I worked as a curb boy at Steak and Shake, which they don't have anymore. And I used to work 3 nights a week, and almost every week, at least one night a week, I got pulled over by the police. Because
you were out late and you were like 12.
We'd get off at, restaurant would close at 1. By the time we cleaned up and everything, we'd get out of there 1:30, 1:45. I'm driving home at 2:00 in the morning on a school night, Tuesday, Thursday, something like that.
Back then it was like, it's 10:00. Do you know where your children are?
They don't do that anymore. They
don't, and they should.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, well, no, because they don't need that anymore, because you just text them, "Hey, where are you?"
Yeah, but then they have you on ignore,
or you have them on your app where you can track them.
Yeah, you can.
That's why things are different. Or you can put an ankle bracelet on them, and they'll exactly where they're at. One of those kind of things. Hey, that's going to do it for us. I tell you what. Oh, you know what? We got one more set of commercials here, and then we will be right back. 7:59.